Hello, my spooky people. Today, I am going to be crafting some tailoring hams. Tailoring hams are these weird oblong-shaped stuffed things that are meant to help with the pressing process when creating garments. So things like collars, cuffs, corsets even. Tailoring hams are meant for these curved, not quite straight seams that don't really want to be flat on an ironing board. It's for ironing, it's for pressing, it's just to generally help with the making process of garments, especially things that aren't, you know, straight lines on everything. I do plan on also making some corsets in the near-ish future, so a tailoring ham would definitely come in handy for that. But first, I want to talk about some eco-friendly sewing and or crafting. I've said it once or a few times in a couple other videos before, but I really dislike fast fashion. I hate it with a burning passion. Beyond the fact that it's all just plastic with barely any natural fibers in them anymore, fast fashion is incredibly bad for the environment. According to a quick little Google search here, fast fashion brands like Shein, Zara, Forever 21, H&M, the list goes on, brands like that contribute to about 10% of the global carbon emissions through waste. I'm not super okay with that. That's not even counting the labor costs to the planet. So the underpaid labor most of the time, the outsourced labor, the emissions to run the equipment to make these clothing, all of the plastic that needs to be made for the clothing. It's just a bad cycle. Fast fashion is defined as clothing that is ready to wear off the rack that is meant to follow current fashion trends. Those often change faster than clothes can be made. All in all, it's just a bad deal. This inevitably is what set me on my journey to create my own entire wardrobe of clothing. But I wanted to set some ground rules first. Namely, I'm going to thrift everything that I can. And that includes my materials, that includes my patterns even. That even includes my machines. I'm able to find sewing machines for under $50. That is insane. And some of them are gorgeous vintage sewing machines that still work. So I am thrifting all of my materials. Often that means I'm using bed sheets or curtains, or even offcuts from somebody else's projects that they decided to, you know, donate the rest of the fabric that they didn't use. It's great, and aside from maybe a couple projects, namely like my bell bottoms, I've been able to stick to this thrifting rule. The only reason I deviate every now and then for certain projects that I think are worth it, my bell bottoms I want to last for a long time, so I need a specific fabric for that. I wasn't able to find it in thrift stores. I looked for months for a decent fabric for those bell bottoms and I just couldn't find one, and that's okay. Sometimes I'm not super lucky with my thrifting. Sometimes I'm really lucky. I find making my own clothing a lot of fun. I mean, it's why I started this channel, is I wanted to make sewing a little bit more accessible to everybody else and show everybody that you can make your own clothing and it doesn't have to be super expensive. With my thrifting journeys, with the way that I find my materials, I'm able to make entire outfits, entire garments for as cheap as about $7. Most patterns that I find are like $1, which is crazy. And then I'll find like a bed sheet for $5 or so. And you know that there's a whole outfit. I mean, the shirts that I'm wearing, the skirts, everything that I make, I'm trying really hard to keep with the thrifting theme. Another thing that I absolutely love about my thrifting and how I'm able to find my materials and stuff like that is it adds this game to the whole project, and it makes me a little bit happier knowing that I reused something that was doomed for a landfill. But anyway, today I am taking this whole notion of recycling and reusing to a whole new level with these tailoring hams. For about a year, I've been saving my scraps and offcuts from various projects, even my mock-ups I've been saving and kind of tucking away into storage with like the plan to use them as something something or continue to reuse those scraps as mock-up material or, you know, what have you. And the past few days, I've been shredding them. Cutting them up into as small of pieces as I can manage. And I even found some felt that I plan on using for this project as well. So I did a burn test on that fabric and I made sure that it is at least majority natural material. So I know it will at least hold up to the heat of an iron and be able to do what I need it to do. It should also be pretty sturdy and last me a while. I've been shredding so much that it's all in here. It's a lot. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but it's filled. It's filled. It's got so much of just this like confetti almost. That's what I've been doing for a week. My arms feel like they're gonna fall off. It's fine. So that's what I'm going to be using for stuffing. And I've got this old bed sheet. So I'm gonna use that as the outside case of my tailoring hams. I went online and I found the tailoring ham shapes that I'm gonna want. This one is gonna be like the main ham for like collars, corsets. This is gonna come in handy for corsets, definitely. Then my tube. This pattern is pretty straightforward. It's just 2 layers of each, a couple darts here and there, sew it together, stuff it, and close it. So I don't really expect this project to be much more challenging than it has been. So it's pretty straightforward, so I'm just gonna jump right on into it and start with cutting the pattern out. Now that I'm done rambling, I can go ahead and just get on into the actual crafting of the hams. I start by tracing the shape on a folded piece of fabric and then cut it out so I have 2 layers of the fabric for each shape. I gotta do the darts first, so I'll do the darts first. Fold the triangles on the center line, pin it, then sew it by tracing the outer line to make the dart. I'll leave the tails of this super long at first, and then to make the dart less pointy when it's all done, I will ease the bobbin thread just the tiniest little bit, and then tie it by hand, then trim those long tails. I still hate darts, but this is going to shape the hams into something a little less flat. Anyway, next I need to sandwich the fabric layers for both of the hams with right sides facing together. Then I will sew along the outer edge with about a 5/8 inch seam allowance, leaving a gap just big enough to turn them right sides out and then stuff them later. Now that my hams are sewn, I'll use the fabric confetti I made to stuff them. Once it's stuffed extremely stiffly, I'll then close it with a whip stitch by hand. While I do this, I'll go ahead and talk a tiny smidge more about fast fashion. As I was in the process of editing this video, I saw one by Safiya Nygaard where she bought a bunch of what should have been the same dress from different companies that were advertising to her on TikTok. Go watch her video. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, it reminded me of something that I might have forgotten to mention before: quality in dupes. Fast fashion brands like Shein, Wish, Alibaba, and AliExpress are pretty notorious for duping legitimate brands and scamming customers into thinking they're getting the original product while sending something that seems like a spirit Halloween costume of what you ordered. In her video, Safiya ordered 5 of the exact same dress, like the listings used all the same pictures and were generally the same price range, but what she ended up getting was only 4, one of them didn't show up, dresses that were really low quality and didn't even have the features that the ads focused so hard on. Fast fashion brands are so eager to get something that just looks close enough and not put quality into their products, and because of that, things are made cheaply and with really bad materials, with the expectation that this dress or whatever will fall out of trend within a month or so, and then no one will even want to wear it. Then it'll cycle into the new trends almost daily. So not only are these cheaply and quickly made, they sometimes aren't even what you wanted in the first place. Anyway, my saga of stuffing the hams and closing them with the whip stitch is over, so we are done! As I mentioned earlier, Tailors Hams are used for pressing seams and garments and even useful for tailoring garments. Go figure, I mean, it's in the name. I made sure to make mine super stiff so that I can put a little bit of pressure on it and they not be squished too bad out of shape. When I made my Wednesday Addams dress, I was not able to press the collar as much as I wanted to because it's so big and so severely curved and it just wouldn't lay flat correctly on my ironing board, so I'm really glad I can set that properly now along with all of my crazy bat wing collars and some of my nice cuffs. Thank you so much for sitting through my rambling for realistically such a small project. This is something that really means a lot to me. Beyond the harm that the fast fashion does to the environment, I do find a lot of joy in making clothes knowing that I used material that would have otherwise ended up in a landfill at one point. And I've made it into something wholly unique to me and something individual, something that not really anybody is going to be wearing, and I don't know, it gives me a lot of confidence. I really like just walking out of the house in something I've made. But anyway, give this video a like if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if you were able to follow along, if you are now going to save your scraps as well for a similar project. Subscribe if you aren't, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!